We at PICT IEEE Student Branch are thrilled to announce PubMatic as the title sponsor for Credence 2023. PubMatic has been at the forefront of AdTech since 2006 through the development and implementation of digital advertising software and strategies. Today, we have with us Mukul Kumar, the founder and president of engineering at PubMatic. Thank you, sir, for doing this interview with us.
Great. Yeah. Welcome to PubMatic and great seeing you. Yeah.
So it is common knowledge that it takes a lot to start a new company. There is an entire pre-planning phase that goes on.
hmm
So can you tell us what led you to start PubMatic and what were the very initial founding principles?
Sure. Yeah. We started back in 2006, as you know, and 17 years ago, I met with the other co-founders, Amar and Rajiv, and we discussed this idea. We thought we actually wrote it on a paper napkin, and we thought it's a great idea. Um, let's do it. We came back. We met in Mumbai, and then we came back to Pune, and then we got right on it. We bought two laptops, two ThinkPads, and we got right on that and started building the product. So it was very exciting, very interesting because this was a new domain for us, even for us. I worked in my 3-bedroom house, right about a kilometer and a half from here in Ount. And we started right there. We started building the product. I think we came up with an alpha in 2.5 months in the month of late Feb 2007. And then we had a customer. We launched it with a customer. We started running ads. I remember looking at the log files. Obviously, both of us were the only two people working on this. So I remember looking at the log files when we had our 1,000 ad impressions served. An ad impression is every time an ad shows on a web page or on a mobile app. So I remember, seeing 1,000 ads scrolling on my laptop screen. And today we are serving more than 500 billion ads a day. So that's about 500 million times higher scale that we did in this past 17 years. So it has been a very beautiful journey building this great product and this great team that is here in Pune and our other offices across the world.
This has truly been a tremendous journey. So we see countless ads every day as consumers, but we don't really understand the technology or psychology behind the placement of these ads.
Sure.
So can you tell us how PubMatic uses these ads and how it places these ads? What is the basic architecture that this works on?
Sure. Yeah, I know that you are technical here, so I will try to talk in technical language. And so I think there's a few different areas, but the two I would say most important are when somebody looks at an ad, they don't realize that that ad is actually specialized for them. So there's a concept of targeting, ad targeting. So ad targeting is used to target specific kind of people for specific kinds of ads, and that's extremely useful for the person who is looking at that ad, because if I'm looking at an ad and I'm not interested in buying something like a house or like anything that I'm not interested in, that ad will be a waste of money. It'll annoy me. So I would rather see, let's say, an ad about a laptop or something electronic or a vacation. So basically, that's number one. Targeted ads, which actually takes a lot of thinking and compute to really find what would be the most appropriate ad to show to this person, obviously with that person's consent, that okay, we'll be using some aspects of your demography or other aspects to target you. And then the other thing is also useful for the buyer, because if I am a Gillette blade manufacturer, I'm spending several lakhs a month on ad. I would target the right set of people, potentially men who shave. right? So that's number one. Targeting is really important. Other aspect which probably will interest you is the scale that we work in. So, like I said, we started with 1,000 ads a day. Today, we are serving more than 500 billion ads a day. So that requires a lot of software building, like building software that can scale. And it's not just adding new hardware, like keep adding new servers, but it is building the software which can actually serve much more volume, not just impressions, but data, several petabytes of data being ingested every day, which we are processing. So the scale is another big aspect. And the third one is performance. We are serving these ads in 120 to 180 milliseconds. So when a page starts loading or an app starts loading on your phone, um, you don't realize that there's this whole auction that is happening in the background where the page sends a request to somebody and then to PubMatic, and we send to somebody else, and there's an auction that runs which basically bids for their impression and for that person, and the ad that is shown is basically the most appropriate ad, which kind of wins the auction.
Yeah.
So all that happens in basically a time that a human cannot notice. So it's less than 200 milliseconds, somewhere between 120 to 180 milliseconds. So that is exciting to build. So every time somebody is writing code, they have to think about how many milliseconds or microseconds am I adding to this whole processing. So I can still serve this in less than whatever 150 milliseconds. Yeah. So those are some of the aspects. Yeah.
That was an incredible explanation, and that really gave us a lot of insight into what goes on behind our screens when an ad pops up. So, for the next question, I'd like to ask about some of the services that PubMatic offers to its clients or
Sure.
its markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I think there's like a wide different ways that we can think about it. There are multiple products that we offer, from what we call the PubMatic SSP to something called Connect, which is our audience product, to Identity Hub, OpenWrap for our publishers. So we have two kinds of clients that we serve: the publishers and the buyers. So for the publishers, I just listed a few of the products, and on the buyer side, again, PubMatic SSP, Connect, and we just introduced a new product called Activate. Just announced it yesterday, last evening. So that's a huge new announcement that we made, that lets buyers directly connect with publishers and basically buy video inventory through non-bidded IOs or non-bidded deals. So that's a new, entirely new product, and we are extremely excited about that. There's other ways to look at this. We serve what is called the most fastest growing field of video advertising, which is also CTV or OTT. We have large customers such as Z5 and Woot as two big customers in India. And then we have multiple customers in the US. So we are helping those publishers monetize their inventories better. We are serving video ads on mobile phones. There's a lot of customers that are using that. And then, of course, on display, which is the laptop, which is now declining because fewer people are seeing ads on laptop. There's more mobile phones and OTT. So that's the other way to look at it. We obviously are in multiple markets such as North America, Europe, and in Asia, multiple countries that are being served. So those are the ways that we slice and dice our overall products that we offer.
Thank you, sir. So, for the next question, I'd like to ask this particularly. You are the co founder and the president of the engineering teams at PubMatic. So, can you tell us about your roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, I think it has evolved over the years. I mean, when I started, I started as the founder, co-founder, and head of engineering, and I was doing everything from the data center to to helping the customers, installing, helping them in the installations, all the way to putting, internet in the office, because we were the only two people basically who were running this startup out of Pune until we hired our first employee around April of 2007. So my role here at PubMatic is basically the entire technology, what is called R&D, engineering, innovation at PubMatic that happens via the engineering team. So we have developers, several hundred developers writing code all the time, and then testers. And then we also have the data center. We have infrastructure is our big benefit at PubMatic, where we own our infrastructure, and we have a team that manages that infrastructure. So we have 12 data centers around the world, and those data centers are managed by our team. So the entire 500 plus billion ad impressions that are coming are being served out of our own data centers, several petabytes of data being analyzed every day. So that is being managed by our own team, which is a part of my team. I'm very passionate about innovation, thinking about new areas to look at, technology, architecture, and high scale, high performance systems. So those are the things that I'm responsible for.
Thank you, sir. So, moving on to the next question, we can see that the technology landscape is really changing drastically around the world. So, can you tell us about how these technologies affect the research and innovation processes at PubMatic?
Yeah, I think there's a lot happening in AdTech. So one of the things I keep talking, and it might come up a few times in today's conversation, is AdTech is a space where technology changes very fast. Things have been changing really fast. So this is unlike other areas, because I worked in other areas, systems programming and storage, and in my past life before PubMatic. But in AdTech, things change very fast. So there are new things that we hear every 3 months or every 6 months. So we have to keep evolving. So a couple of different areas, we are in the forefronts of data analytics. We generate a lot of data, several petabytes every day. So we are using technology that is in the forefront. We use Spark, but there's like a lot of new things that is happening in Spark. So we use that. We in data warehousing, we use technologies such as Snowflake that are in the forefront, one of the most popular software. And then of course we build software. We are constantly looking at what's changing. So one of the things that is changing is around privacy. There's a lot of innovation happening around that. How do we ensure users' consent, users' privacy? That's number one priority for us. We are also, constantly thinking about how do we get better technology to the front. For example, there is how you identify users. There's a concept of third-party cookies, which is going away with Chrome announcing that they will stop supporting that. So we are working with multiple what is called data partners or ID providers such as LiveRamp to help identify users, use those technologies. And then, the team here, which is sitting right here, is constantly analyzing new technologies, looking at new areas. We, in fact, had a session last week on the new generative AI techniques that the teams might be using. We have a group of team members who are focusing entirely on that. So a lot of exciting stuff happening, new stuff happening every day, every few weeks.
Right, sir. So you spoke about the team that is here. Can you tell us about the company culture at PubMatic? How do you foster innovation and collaboration between multiple teams? And how does the research and innovation process overall take place?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. So we have a very rich culture of innovation and team members working together. Two of the things that, or three of the things that are really important in my mind are, one is called hackathon. We do our annual hackathons. The next one is actually coming up in July. So that happens every year, and we have um, that's like an extremely exciting thing that happens over 2 days, where engineers get together and implement a product of their own interest that is related to advertising. So basically, it's about 36 hours that they code, and then there are we have assessments that happen after the hackathon. So I think the teams are really excited about that. There are a lot of pictures on that. The team members are super happy, super excited, and build some really great products. Some of those are really out of the box thinking, not just sitting on their laptops, but they go out, and think about how would I advertise in special situations, and they come up with really interesting innovations. So that's number one. Other is we have a rich culture of training, um, um, learning and development. So we are constantly training our team. In fact, yesterday I just launched our architecture boot camp. Actually, as our third architecture boot camp in the past 6-7 months, and that is basically a boot camp that helps senior engineers get to the next level, overall increasing the engineering, the level of engineering where the senior engineers learn the breadth of the product, because we have so many different products. So it's good to know across the breadth, and then so they can take better decisions. And I think third thing, which is really important, I feel, which has happened for the past 6, 7, 8 months, is people coming back to office. So they are really interacting, whiteboarding, they are having fun, and like if I walk out, I go for lunch, or if I'm taking a walk, people are talking amongst themselves, discussing ideas, brainstorming ideas. Even during lunch, I hear people problem solving right at the lunch desk. So I feel that that's another thing that is really a rich culture here at PubMatic.
It's true. Those are really amazing processes that you mentioned, and I'm sure they really add to the enthusiasm of the work culture. So, moving on to the next question.
Sure.
Can you tell us about some of the most exciting projects that you are currently working on at PubMatic, and what are the challenges that are currently facing the AdTech industry?
Sure. I think I talked a little bit on some of the exciting stuff, but broadly, some of the most exciting stuff is which would interest the technology people are, building scale. So we are serving 500 billion impressions today, every day. So, the team is obviously thinking about what's next. Like, how do we build the product to the next level, serving 750 billion impressions a day or a trillion impressions a day? So they are thinking about that. And it's not just that, increasing the array size or the size of the hash tables, but it is a lot more than that, right? It is about how the modules interact with each other, how the inter-process communication works, how, you're thinking about the databases, in-memory databases, on-disk databases, how you're thinking about doing the same thing without actually saying that, oh, I'm going to need, another 50 terabytes of RAM. So basically, you are thinking about how do I scale while also not spending a lot of more money. So in fact, our cost of serving ad impressions has been going down in the last, I would say, 3 years. We have gone down by about 50-ish percentage, in the sense that the amount of hardware required to serve the same number of ad impressions has gone down by 50% in those 3.5 years. So that's one thing, scale. Other is performance. We are constantly thinking about how do I build the software that will work faster, that will, let's say, we are taking processing of data, which let's say take 3 hours or 4 hours. How do I cut it down to an hour? So what are the interesting things that can be done there? In terms of the challenges that AdTech is facing, I think there's quite a few. There's, if you look at the bigger picture, there is the macroeconomic challenges that we are facing in multiple countries in the world. So we are seeing a lot of challenges there, where the budgets are being cut, and there's obviously some companies are announcing those losses. So there is cut in spend for all areas, which includes advertising. So it affects advertising too. I think the other area which continues to be challenging and interesting is how the third-party cookies are going away. So that makes it more interesting to solve that problem. As third-party cookies go away, it is more difficult to target users. And we know that if we don't target users, then everybody will get junk ads. Most people will get junk ads, and it'll kind of be waste. So we definitely want to continue working with. There's a lot of innovation happening with companies that are coming up with third-party cookies or other ways of identifying users. So we, that's another challenge that we have been working through, and then fixing that as we go. I think there's probably a few other areas. I feel that the technology moves so fast here. We just came up with this new Activate product. Yesterday, there was another area that we thought is a challenge that we can solve. There's multiple new products that we are in the pipeline and be coming up in the next 3 to 6 months. So those are all interesting challenges that we love solving here.
It's amazing to know, sir. So, moving on to the next question. The entrepreneurial landscape in India is really building up these days. As an entrepreneur yourself, what's the advice that you would give to the next generation of innovators, inventors, entrepreneurs, and tech professionals?
Sure. It's a very good question, and it comes often in my conversations, and I'll try to cover that from my perspective. I think the number one thing is you got to build your product and bring it to the customer as soon as possible, as early as possible. So getting customer feedback is really important. Listening to the customer is really important. Again, it's something that you have to keep doing. But I have seen sometimes people build a product for very long, 6 months or a year, before they get to the first customer. So I think it's really important that you keep iterating, keep building the product. The other thing that I have seen is as you build a startup, you keep hearing a lot of people that would tell you that you cannot build this. So when I started, we talked to multiple experts, advertising experts. And so, we were like two small people sitting in a place in Pune. Nobody knows about Pune from an advertising landscape. So there were companies in the US that had been doing that for at least 4 or 5 years. So we talked to a lot of those people who have been doing advertising for multiple years, online digital advertising. And a lot of them said, don't do it. Stop doing it. So you cannot do this. This requires a lot of scale. This requires a lot of technology. I have been doing this for 4 years, and I know it's very difficult. You will not be able to meet the latency thresholds like the 120 milliseconds. So they said, stop doing that. And those were senior people. And we were two people who have been doing this for like 2 months or 3 months. And we would then end the call and we would say, I would prove them wrong. So I would prove them wrong. So I would keep building. So I think that's another thing that you will hear a lot of people say that you cannot do it. And obviously you should take the feedback, but do what you think is the right thing to do. Keep building that. I think that's the other one. I feel the third one would be keep iterating, keep building, keep scaling. One of the aspects that comes in these, any of these, what I would call prototypes that would extend into a product, would be you would use technologies or some kind of potentially shortcuts to get to the customers faster. So, and that's the right thing to do when you're trying to get to the customer faster. So you have to constantly, rebuild the software or the product so that you are able to scale, serve more customers, broaden it, potentially use more technologies. I remember, literally changing the technologies, underlying technologies in half a day. When we built the initial UI, we were using a technology, and then we one fine day we realized that it may not work. It's not a great technology, and I said, okay, let me look at other alternatives, and I rebuilt the entire UI in like 6 hours or something.
Fantastic.
So yeah, there's a lot of those things. We rebuilt the ad server too. When we built it in Java, and we realized it was not performing as well as we would like to. And I remember I used to sit all night because it would crash. It would, the GC would not start the garbage collector, and it would. So I would sit all night, killing it and then restarting it. Obviously, the next day I built a cron job to do that. But then, we said that we can't keep doing that. So then we rewrote that server in C language, which was much more higher performing, about 100x higher performance than the Java app. So, yeah.
That is incredible advice, sir. I'm sure that all of our watchers will definitely take a lot out of this interview, and especially from this part. So, moving on to the last question.
Yeah.
What is your idea for PubMatic? What is your outlook for PubMatic in the next 5 to 10 years, and how do you see your own role in it?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. It's as a company, what we would like to do, as myself, how we would like to progress. But I feel that I would like to keep, this as a R&D team, as the technology group, would like to keep innovating on new technologies. I would like this team to constantly think about like breaking the barriers, doing things faster, better. And they are, already doing that, but I would like the team to like just keep getting to the next level, 10x or 50x or 100x, be it how we serve our ads, how we process our ads, how we build our software, like how can we test it faster, how can we release software faster. So that's one aspect I would like the team to keep breaking the barriers. Obviously, the talk of the latest things that we are looking at is generative AI, and I'm sure there's a lot that can be done there. And then, obviously, as a business, we would like to constantly continue to increase our market share. There is lot to be done. There's like you talked about CTV, OTT. There's a lot of new areas that can be explored where advertising can be done, and I think we would like to constantly extend ourselves, being a team that is constantly innovating and thinking about how we look at the new area. So we would like to continue doing that, continue expanding our market share. I think that's probably two of the things.
Thank you so much, sir, for this incredibly informative, inspirational, and insightful interview.